the boxing world going crazy over a forgotten sparring video, to Lopez using his retirement as a ploy to secure a bigger payday to fight his rival. Here's why Teofimo Lopez hates Gervonta Davis. For starters, the sparring video between the younger versions of the fighters is definitely what reignited the rivalry. Boxing fans are always on the lookout for the next big matchup anyway, something that'll have them on the edge of their seats. And now, with a forgotten sparring video between the two rising stars, fans are hyped to see how their rivalry unfolds after the rumors. The video features 18-year-old Gervonta Davis up against 15-year-old Teofimo Lopez, both locking horns in a heated sparring session. And it's got fans wondering what would happen if the two fighters were to face off in 2023. And while some were going crazy over Gervonta's aggressive approach, others claimed it was too violent for a younger foe. I mean, he's not hesitating to go hard on Lopez, who didn't back down either and delivered some hard hits on his own. Plus, let's not forget that the first rule of sparring is that you hit just as hard as you want to get hit. In fact, many fans even claimed that Davis was holding back because his actual sparring was a lot more intense. And if you're wondering how everyone found the hidden treasure out of nowhere over a decade later, it was the popular boxing journalist Michael Benson, who posted the video on Twitter with the caption, "Gervonta Davis vs. Teofimo Lopez sparring got heated when they were youngsters." The tweet went viral in seconds, and it's about time they saw a bigger and tougher version of this in the ring. Honestly, all fans are doing right now is linking that video to their fights now. The matchup is unique, and while Tank's on top as far as power goes, I gotta admit, Teo has a bunch of advantages over his rival, like his size. I'm sure he's gonna use his range and jab to get a win, and some fans claim that the fact that Tank didn't spare a 15-year-old shows why he wants the rehydration clause now in 2023. Teofimo claims that Gervonta's trying to take advantage of rehydration clauses and catchweights just so he can weaken his opponents and get some easy wins. Basically, he's just trying to find a loophole in the system and use his popularity to gain an edge. And whether that's true or not, one thing's for sure. Gervonta and Teofimo have quite a history. With Teo stepping into retirement right after his big win, fans want to know whether there's any chance of a potential showdown between the two. You see, Lopez is tired of the politics of boxing, and even though he's still young, he's already thinking about vacating his belt. But does that mean he's also willing to pass up big fights, like the one against Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, and Tank? Well, it turns out that he's moving away from all of it. But before the rumors made headlines, he confirmed that he could beat those guys any day. But it's more than just his rivals. He's fighting the referee, the judges, their cornerman, the commentators, and the many controversies. And that's exactly what he needs a break from right now, because these are too many fights for him, and he wants to pick his own battles now. Think about it. Even if he signs a contract with Tank for the ultimate showdown, they're gonna postpone the fight again and again, which isn't really fair to Teo either. And if he decides to pull out of the deal, instead of waiting for an indefinite period, everyone's gonna say Teo's scared. But Gervonta doesn't really have a history of postponing fights either, so no one's really sure where Teo came up with the idea. But it's enough for him to step back and shut down any chances of a fight. Plus, even if he's concerned over how the Tank's using rehydration clauses and catchweights to help him get easy wins, so what? I'm sure he's not the first boxer to do that anyway. Even Canelo Alvarez used them for ages to keep his position on top. And now, everyone considers him the face of boxing. So, if fans are claiming that Lopez is just scared for an even more intense fight than their teenage sparring session, I wouldn't be too surprised, since Lopez even said that Tank's power and speed make him the toughest opponent. And if you ask me, he's not wrong. But if you're talking about technicality, Shakur's brutal. Then again, there's another opponent who almost made the cut for a potential fight, Ryan Garcia. Although you gotta take Lopez's word for it, who claims Ryan messaged him, desperate for some payday and asking for a fight? But Lopez read it, deleted it, and moved on. All of that aside, what about his contract status with Top Rank? Well, when he announced his retirement, he still had another 6 to 8 months left with them, and buying out his contract is going to take a lot more than he's got right now. Floyd Mayweather might have been one of the rare ones who had $750,000 to back him up and cut the ties. But Lopez doesn't have that kind of money. And since he's trying to step out of the controversies anyway, he wants to step out of the contract without the drama. At the end of the day, you either go 6 feet under or you stick with being a slave. And with the contract, he's got to do what he's told, be where he was to be, and become a completely different person. But Teo doesn't want anything stopping him, even if it means he'll have to risk the only chance he had to fight Gervonta, which has me thinking whether he pulled out the retirement card just to avoid the tank in the first place. Because after the impressive win over Josh Taylor, everyone knew Tank was next. And now that the New Yorker's the world's best super lightweight, Davis was riding high after his stoppage victory over Garcia in April 2023. I gotta admit, Tank's one of the most high-profile fighters out there, and even though he's got a couple of legal battles to sort out, he was all ready for a fight with the new world champion, who decided to step down instead. Come on, just think about it for a second. A 25-year-old WBO junior welterweight champion who's at the top of his sport giving up his championship belt before he even got it? Doesn't that seem a bit of a stretch? If he didn't have any appealing potential fights for him, it would make a lot more sense. But he had Shakur, Davis, Haney, and Garcia, some of the top boxers in the sport, all lined up to fight him. So why back down? It seems like he's shifting the blame on Tank, claiming that Davis is too scared to fight him. But if you dig a little bit deeper, the retirement seems too rushed and without any valid reason. Even if he's not scared to fight the Tank, there's another big reason why he's retiring right before the big fights. He seems to be using this to secure more money for future bouts. It's clear that the only way he'll backtrack on his retirement plans is if he gets a 9-figure contract deal. Maybe he's thinking he deserves to get paid in millions for controversial fights that already have all the hype they need. And considering everything he's accomplished, he knows he's got value, and the promotion doesn't want to let him go. Not to mention, boxing fans want to see more from Lopez too. So taking advantage of that, it would help him make the most out of a fight against Tank that fans are already desperate for. Only time will tell if a bigger payday will get the man back in the ring, because if you ask me, he's got all the fight offers he needs. All he needs to do is make the right move. That could be a turning point in his career. But until then, he's sticking to his retirement plans. I gotta admit that the reasons behind their rivalry aren't really clear. But if you ask me, it's thanks to the fierce competition in the boxing world that spares no one, topped with all the personal issues they've got going on. Sure, it would have been interesting to see these two fighters face off in the ring and settle their differences. But Teo would have to go back on his words and come out of retirement for that, which will only make this even more controversial. Is Teo ready to do that? I guess you'll have to wait to find out. So there you have it, from Lopez using his retirement as a ploy to secure a bigger payday to fight his rival, to the boxing world going crazy over a forgotten sparring video. That was why Teofimo Lopez hates Gervonta Davis.